Hello, I'm Dr. Devin Prabhakar from Divya Prabha Eye Hospital, Trivandrum. Now, during this COVID time, some of us are in lockout, some of us are in home quarantine, and this video is basically about tips on how to stay healthy during these difficult times for all of us. Now, the basic three principles of COVID prevention is SMS: sanitize, mask, and social distancing. So we need to maintain at least a 1 meter distance from another person so that his breath or when he talks, when he coughs, the aerosols that are produced does not infect us. And if the person is wearing a mask and we too are wearing a mask, that creates two additional barriers that prevents infection from happening. Now, if unfortunately our hands get contaminated with the virus, when we wash it with soap and water for 20 seconds, this gets neutralized and our hands become safe. So these three principles we have to take care throughout, whether it's at outside or even if we are at home. So ideally, if multiple people are staying at our place of different generations, meaning if a grandson is there, a granddaughter is there, and they're staying with their grandparents, it is very essential that these two generations be segregated so that they don't transfer infection from one person to the other. That's why now it becomes more and more important that people start wearing masks even at home. This is to prevent, if somebody is an asymptomatic carrier, this is to prevent one person from giving the infection to the next person. We all know almost 80% of COVID infections do not cause any symptoms like fever, cough, sore throat, even conjunctivitis, things like that. So a person with COVID might be just like a normal person. That is why it becomes important even at home to wear a mask, maintain social distance, and wash hands frequently. Now, during home quarantine or when we are in isolation, what are things that we can do to boost our immunity to stay healthy? Basically, we need to take proper, good, balanced diet with lots of fruits and vegetables to maintain our health. Then, we need to exercise at least half an hour daily to maintain our good health and our well-being. Third, we need to sleep at least 8 hours per day because this also boosts our immunity. Now, if you are taking any tablets, maybe for cholesterol, for BP, for hypertension, we need to make sure that we take these medicines at the right time in the right dose. During a COVID pandemic, when we are under lockdown, we are under a lot of stress. So obviously our parameters are going to get uncontrolled. If on top of that we don't take the medicines on time, this can create more trouble and can lead on to stroke, heart attack, and other serious problems. Now make sure that you're taking all your medicines correctly. And on top of that, you need to make sure that you're having a regular routine health checkups. Now, we can get a BP apparatus, we can get an electronic BP apparatus, we can buy it and keep it at home, we can have a glucometer, we can even have a pulse oximeter that takes the oxygen saturation and takes your pulse also. Now, with these parameters, you can contact your local doctor or the doctor you are usually seeing to make sure all your parameters are there and no intervention or no change in medication is required. Now, the reason we all stay healthy, the reason we all do not get into very serious problems is because we have these preventive checkups at regular intervals. So, if you are a BP patient, you get your BP checked frequently. If you are a diabetic, you get your sugars checked frequently. If you are having a glaucoma, that is the eye pressure, you get your eye pressures checked frequently so that these parameters do not get out of control. Now, during this quarantine time or if you are in lockdown or if you are in isolation area, if you are not able to see a doctor physically, it makes good sense to contact him online and give your parameters, give your medicines and ask whether the next checkup is due, whether it is urgent or whether we can postpone it for some more time. This is very important to ensure that the good health we enjoy continues to be there. Now, some of the advantages when you do an online consultation is that we don't need to physically go to the hospital. Some of us are worried about getting an infection during travel or from the hospital itself. So, doing an online consultation gives us that benefit of not being exposed to anybody else, And the central government has given very fixed guidelines on what can be done and what cannot be done in online consultation. So all the doctors are aware about the rights and responsibilities they have when they do an online consultation, and within these confines they will limit the treatment to the best way possible. And if an in-person checkup is required, they will definitely advise you that this cannot be done on online consultation. You need to come to the hospital, and probably they might even provide a certificate so that the movement to the hospital becomes easy for you. Now, one basic problem with any type of consultation, whether online or offline, is miscommunication. That might be more there in case of an online consultation, because there might be a difference of barrier of language. So we need to ensure that what we hear from the doctor and what we say to the doctor are in sync. So that is why the government has said that each prescription that the doctor gives must have the name of the patient, his age, the date, the diagnosis. That is a very important point that is there in the health consultation rules. What the patient is being treated for, that has to be mentioned on the written prescription that you give, and then the list of medicines, and it has to be signed and sealed by the doctor. They'll take a photo of this and send it to you across WhatsApp or any other communication device that they have, and then you can get this prescription, show it to the pharmacist and get the medicines done. Now, during this COVID times, it becomes very important that we take very good care of our health, because even a small problem, it might be difficult to treat and it might escalate and go out of control. So remember the SMS of maintaining COVID prevention, that is sanitize your hands, wear a mask and do social distancing. And to build up your innate immunity, we need to take good food, get 8 hours of sleep, exercise for half an hour per day, and remember always to take your medicines on time. Check your parameters like the blood pressure, sugar, temperature, if required, pulse oximeter for oxygen saturation, the pulse rate, and update all these parameters to your regular doctor, or if you are consulting him online, send him through a WhatsApp message or through the platforms that you use, to ensure that the good health we enjoy remains with us throughout this pandemic. Thank you. I hope all these tips help you to stay healthy during this COVID pandemic.